We did, and it's not in here anymore. I brought one over here yesterday, and now it's gone. So I'm not sure what happened to it. I looked in all the cupboards, and I couldn't find one. If I undo a bunch of other things, yes, we could do that.
We can pretend that the phone over there is the flag.
I can pull one up on my
I will be right back. I have
everything in our car.
Well, TK is like preschool and K is kindergarten. So you can
Yeah,
say,
I could.
yeah, no, yeah, that's why. That was the
Part of
only
your
thing I was.
presidency.
I was
So you're gonna-
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's so small. It's okay. This is what I have available.
Yeah, this is the size flag I had
I had a bigger
during
one.
COVID when we were online, and I pulled up the little tiny flag in front of.
You can put it, let's put it into a binder.
All right, well, we will reconvene back into open session here at 6:06 p.m. And we get a report of our final action from closed session. Okay. So it was motioned by trustee Schneider and seconded by trustee Paoli, and approved by a vote of 4-0 with one absence, to approve a partial leave of absence for a classified employee. No other action was taken. There's no need for the wrong meeting. Let me move back to the right meeting. All right. Can I do a motion to approve the agenda? Second. All right, all in favor?
Nice.
All right, do we have any public comment on non-agenda items?
No, we do not have any public comment.
Please join me for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our general acknowledgements, we have August is Children's Eye Health and Safety Month, and also National Immunization Awareness Month, and Women's Equality Day is August 26th. It's also in
That's not in the slide.
Sorry. Not in the slide. It's my birthday tomorrow, right?
Okay, thank you. That helps immensely.
Birthday.
And Renee and Joe.
Yes, his birthday's the 25th, so.
Mine's the day after.
Oh my gosh.
I get Quality's day.
All right, the board would also like to acknowledge donations from the Mendocino Presbyterian Church in the amount of $250 for the Giving Care under the Cuidado program. They have continued to donate to that on a regular basis, so we really appreciate your support. All right. Moving on then to communication. No. We're gonna zip through this meeting. Great.
Summertime.
I know, right? All right. Public comment on agenda items.
There is no public comment.
Public comment on agenda items? Oh, great. Zipping through. We'll move right on to student representatives reports. We're back from summer.
You guys are seniors now, right?
Right. Take care.
Alright, for Redwood Elementary, a beautiful mural was painted by a graduating fourth-grade high school student on a wall that faces the playground, and there was also a new sensory template on a black top like the map of the United States, a number letter circle, and hopscotch. And then there's also new teeter-totters, a basketball hoop, and funnel ball that are coming soon. And then the staff is engaged in various training, restorative practices, and math, pilot, and PBIS. There has also been community engagements, including preschool and kindergarten orientation, and then a meet and greet for families to meet teachers on the 18th, and back to schools on September 3rd. We didn't get a response from the neighborhood, but for Fort Bragg Middle School, they're excited to welcome 3 new teachers and several transfers from within their district. Their rep leaders will be doing 6th grade orientation on August 18th from 8:30 to 12 in the gym. And volleyball tryouts are also starting up on the 24th and 25th. And right after that is back to school night on August 26th from 5 to 6:30, and then the picture day on the 26th.
So alternative education is very, very excited for the new year because they'll be operating on their new site, which they'll be moving into in just a few weeks. Also, a few of their students did some internships over the summer, one being a 7th grader, Isaac, who interned at the Memorial Food Forest, and another being Vivian Loretz, a senior who traveled to Dallas, Texas to work as an intern at a Big Picture Learning Conference, and a couple of the staff accompanied her and also presented at the event. So that's pretty cool. And for the high school, Link Crew is starting up. So this year's Link leaders have already started training for the upcoming school year and preparing for the freshmen. Freshman orientation is tomorrow on campus, where all the freshies will be introduced to the high school with the help of their Link leaders. And right after orientation is the back to school fair, which is where students will go to buy their yearbooks, student IDs, PE shirts, and get their schedules. And also fall sports have been doing summer practices and are starting tryouts. And school officially starts on Wednesday of next week.
And the city of Fort Bragg hired several student interns over the summer as well. So,
Seven.
yeah.
Can I just comment? It's great. We met with Ray Teeter last year about the pavement in the playground. And it's great to know that some work has been done for the kids to have something on out there. So whether it's staff or parents, clubs, whatever, it's wonderful.
All right, that brings up our general obligation bond funds construction project update. Wonderful project manager.
Hi, everybody, good to see you.
Stand up, yes.
We'll get the podium over there.
Yeah. Probably at the table, the podium there.
Yeah, close enough. Anyway, another month and a week possibly, we're done. Pretty smooth sailing from here on out. Probably the most critical thing is to get the electricity going, to run the heaters, so we can install the floors. That's gonna happen next week. So basically, right, this week we've been working on trim out, basically finishing touches on the mechanical electrical system. Installing casework this week and next week, casework cabinets, and tack boards and whiteboards. Most of the tack board and whiteboards are probably installed right now. And that's the same case for A, B, and C building. Some are lagging behind others. They're starting to work their way around C. And then outside all the concrete flat work and the quad is completed. It's been completed for probably about a week. They've got the rebar in for the rest of the concrete that kind of marries it to the street. I think that'll probably pour tomorrow, if not Monday. It was planned for tomorrow, but I didn't confirm whether they're showing up. Propane tank got installed, and basketball court was paved, and I think they put the hoops up yesterday. And flagpole. And they need to finish up the remaining of the fencing by next week is what the plan is. So really, like I said, I think that the game plan now is to turn it over on the 24th of September.
Is the street going to be able to be completely used by the time school starts next week?
Oh, the space? I don't think so. I think we got punch lists, and they got run the heat for a certain time before they put the floor in.
No, I mean, it's the street. It's,
Oh, the
it looks like
street.
there's still a lot of construction.
Oh,
There's gonna be a lot of traffic here in about a week. I'm just wondering.
Sidewalks and driveways you're
Yeah.
referring to,
it shouldn't block the street. It might be, I don't know what time they're scheduled to have a concrete truck come, but I could see maybe for a short period. And right now, the driveway's fenced off because that part of the sidewalk is being redone, but the rest of the sidewalk is already there. It's kind of the sidewalk between the public sidewalk and the link between the quad and the property line. It's most of it, but there is a
So
driveway.
it looks worse than it is then. 'Cause I don't remember.
Well, and we've had PG&E has been on the street this week trying to get everything hooked up, so they've had a lot of
Got it.
stuff displaced, and it looks messy,
Okay.
because I was driving by yesterday, and I
That
was like,
was
okay, most of that's
in a
PG&E.
week, that's gonna be a big pain.
Yeah, the concrete guys aren't as bad. PG&E, they have seven trucks and 7 guys and 2 guys working. It's unbelievable. Well, when you're paying for a concrete truck and your guys are out there doing, they move pretty quick. So I don't think it'd be quite an event. That's easy.
Can we possibly, before the next meeting, do a little tour?
Probably, we'll see, that'll be September
Well,
10th.
maybe I'll just reach out, because I haven't seen it, I missed.
Oh, yes, I can take you over and walk you through anytime,
Great to see.
we've got some time, we can, are you coming tomorrow for the lunch?
I will try, yeah.
If you are, maybe right after we pop over or something, because we'll be right there. So.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, no, look great and.
For anyone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
that's quite far along now. It's just the finishing touches will be down and having heat so they put the floors in. Because flooring guys are particular about not putting flooring in without the heat.
Glue doesn't stick so well when
Yeah,
I'm
the cold
cold.
sticks in there, yeah.
You know, let us know about any ribbon cutting or anything like that.
Yes, tentatively, if everything works out right, we're looking at October 14th, which is the Wednesday before fall break. But that's still dependent on everything falling into place. I think it will, but, you know, we don't want to hard commit to that and then go, but something came up, you know. So.
Yeah. Pretty much all I got today. If you got questions.
So we were still looking at maybe October 1st being
Yeah.
where we're able to kind of start being present in space and.
Yeah, because Brandon said the 24th of September is when all his work's gonna be done, and then the architect comes forward, a punch list, make a list of things that need to be tuned before people show up, and then it's all.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what's
right
it.
up there. Sounds good. Yeah, awesome. Great.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right, moving on to
Thanks,
8.3, our
Tom. See you
2026
later.
summer maintenance projects.
So there was a list in the agenda that had some of the things. I also realized as I'm reading over this list that Barry actually missed a few things that they did, things like in the 200 wing, one of the outside doors, they kind of had refurbished the floor where water had gotten in, and so they rerouted the water, so it's not gonna rot the floor out and that kind of thing. So they were very busy this summer. We got a lot done. I'll show you some of the pretty pictures. I just dropped them in the hopefully we can get the presentation working.
I'm trying, it's not
Um,
working. Everything's
and,
here, but it's not working.
You want me to? I'll call it.
That's okay.
Fix that.
We need to change
But the sites look great. We appreciate all the hard work from our maintenance and custodial staff and getting everything ready, raring to go for our shoots on Wednesday. I love that look of the hallway when you look down and you can see that mirror shine and you know it's gonna last about half a day, maybe.
Oh, wow.
But it looks good at first, it's really nice. So I really appreciate all that hard work that goes into that. Also, our gyms look amazing. If you get a chance to look at the gym floor, it's the best of the look all year. Because again, as soon as TV happens, got all those sneakers out there, it does what it's supposed to do. We also have installed some chain link fencing in various locations to sort of help to make our campuses more secure. particularly Dana Gray. If you had noticed last year, like on the ball fields and stuff, there were just like panels that were sort of zip tied in. Those are now, if not yet, they will in the next day or two be gates. We're also getting them to look at the possibility of putting a gate across the breezeway at the middle school, where you can literally, between the middle school and the senior center. So where you can literally walk from the road right in. We're like, that's not the most secure spot. And with that addition, we would have basically because they went and built in all the gates also around the middle school too. So there weren't any huge projects, but there were a lot of little things that got done to kind of catch up after we've been handling some big projects in the past summer. A little bit, but it's things like adding the
Space for the
teeter
kids,
totters,
yeah.
those kind of things. High impact.
All right, moving on then to 8.4, our summer school report.
Just a second.
Output here, it's going into there. Fine. It's working on these two. This is on, yeah. You know, this is my life. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
I can't do it. He can do it. He always ends up being able to do it.
Summer school report. So we had 211 students that were served by 47 staff members. We ran, it was a good program. Every time I was checking in, folks were doing some really great stuff and engaged well and having a good time with our students. We have talked with Flockworks about the idea of them possibly running enrichment program next year, because a lot of where we land is in the enrichment program. And as a part of our contract with them, they're able to offer some additional services. So summer school might look a little different next year, but we'll still have some support for our students, so they have those 20 days, because they're hugely important for our students and to our families. So more details to come on that as we get closer to that time next year. For the 25-26 school year, we completed all staff evaluations that I was aware of being outstanding. We're done and taken care of. Not necessarily put into the computer. We're working on that part right now. But as far as like the physical forms being scanned in and all of that kind of stuff. So still getting there on that part, but we verified that they got done and making sure they have our managers and admin have the lists for this year. Make sure we continue to complete them on time.
Can I ask a question going back to the summer minutes project?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
No, I just didn't, saw there Dana Gray and Redwood playground updates for upgrades. Was there more work at Redwood, like the actual equipment? Or just-
Yes, so we ordered, if you remember at Redwood, they were talking about the teeter totters not being there. So we ordered the actual teeter totters with the hardware. I think we're coming in either yesterday or today, and we'll get installed before first day of school. They're not hard to put in. So the kids will have a little bit more to do there. And then we also have the paving company. If you've been over by the TK building, for whatever reason, they left a patch of gravel. And it's not very big. It's less than half the size of this room, but it's just enough that 4-year-olds go over and want to pick up rocks. So we're having them remove the rock and actually just pave that. It's a very small project, so they're going to come out and get it knocked out.
And one of the things that was requested, there used to be a basketball, like a 4-way.
Yeah. Oh, and that was the other piece. We replaced all the basketball hoops and the whatever that thing is called, where you throw the ball in.
It goes wherever,
And all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, I used to play on that. So.
Yeah.
As an adult.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good stuff. I just don't know what the official playground
Basketball too.
Yeah. So yeah, all that got refreshed.
Just call it 4-way.
So all the hoops are new on all of the playgrounds. So kids will be happy to come back, the ones that aren't missing bits and pieces.
That takes us down to superintendent's report.
Okay. Let's see. So sticking with our structure, I am going to report in the 4 board priorities that we have talked about. So happy to hear feedback from any of you on anything if we need to change that structure somehow. But I think I'm trying to find everything and fit it in that way. So it was posted a little differently on the agenda, but I guarantee you all of those things are covered within the priorities as we talked through. So first, in school safety and climate, I want to talk about I had a meeting with the city of Fort Bragg, and then we also had the city council meeting on Monday with the city of Fort Bragg to talk about a stadium grant application. And so this grant application is for the possibility of putting in a new all-weather track and possibly a turf field. So the city is moving forward with the idea of gathering feedback. That's kind of what they authorized on Monday. They have not, this isn't a sure thing, so we don't want to get everybody's hopes up. But I will say the last time we were eligible to apply for this grant, we got to be a finalist. And it was because it originated with the school district that they took into account some different pieces. It was the property values immediately around the stadium that threw us out of we just missed it by a few points at that point. Whereas with the city, what we understand from the grant writers is that that applies to the entire city population and they're not going to parse it out that way. So that's my understanding at this point of where we are. We're super excited. However, we will also have on our September agenda, city staff coming over to provide you with, here's the vision from their side of things and kind of when they check in with legal and whatnot, what that would look like, because it would require that we do a long-term lease with the city for the stadium. So they would be leasing it from the district. We would still own the property. So we'll get some more details. They were waiting for the grant application to come out, and that should happen in the next week or two here. And then we can actually look at what the details are in this round of funding and if that looks different than it was last time. So very exciting stuff. It was lovely at the city council meeting. We had, I think, just about the whole football team standing, in support around, and we had some other staff and students and community members all coming to. Everyone's very excited and speaking very much in support of things. So I think we all know it's been long overdue. I saw Rick McMillan today, and if you've met with Rick, it's been something super near and dear to his heart, and he was in tears. So just knowing that we found a viable path to at least pursue and find a way to fund this. So that was very touching because I've been talking about this as long as I've been here, and I'm sure it's been a lot longer than I've been in this seat as well. So, I also met with city staff around the idea they're going to be working on a resiliency center grant application. And so we talked about some ideas of how that could benefit the school district, particularly looking at our alt-ed sites in partnership, because we always know grant applications look a lot better when you can show partnership and connection that way. So we'll hear some more, but it would basically be adding on the grant application would be to add on to the STAR Center for a resiliency center going in that would be shelter in time of need, but would also be an additional gymnasium space in our town, which if you've ever tried to schedule anything in a gym from about the end of November till February, you're not getting in. We have them busy from immediately after school till 9, pretty much every night. So that's exciting, and we're looking forward to partnering there, continuing We've had a lot of our alt-ed students have been pushing in and getting support there. And this summer there was that project right now that supported some drop-in centers and stuff like that where our teams could go in and have a place to be.
Twice a week.
So I think all that's great, giving opportunity for our kids to have that support. So more will come on that as well, but exciting stuff happening with the city and our partnership there. As I said earlier, I wanted to put some custodial appreciation out there. They worked really hard to get everything going. And I'm always amazed at what they can get done in the slim amount of time they sometimes have to do it. And then as we talked about before, alt-ed planning a ribbon cutting ceremony coming up hopefully on October 14th. And so with that, we're going to invite community, we'll invite, I need to talk with the Rotary to see if maybe we can bring their grill out and have some food, and we'll do all kinds of fun stuff. There's a lot of people who are fired up, including a lot of alumni who are really happy to want to come and do that. So we'll try to make it probably midday sometime. Again, no set time yet until we get the go ahead from Don and the construction team that that's going to be a viable date. It sounds like it will be at this point. So we're really excited there. Also under school safety and climate, I wanted to give you just an update on our discipline from last year. We had that on our governance calendar to have a discipline report. So these slides will be uploaded onto our system so you can take a little closer look. But we have, let's see, last year we had a total of 116 reported incidents, and these are just on the severe side. We're not talking about, call me a name or something like that. Unless it's a really horrible one. But just some of the normal things that we might document, like, okay, let's, third time this week, we need to have that conversation. But this is more of the things that would potentially be suspendable offenses. Not all of these ended in suspension. So we had 98 unduplicated students in those 116 incidences. So it's not a huge overlap necessarily. We don't have a lot of, a lot of students who are offending more than once. There's a handful, but not. It's not really the norm there. Interestingly enough, also, Fort Bragg Middle School accounted for 50%, almost 51% of what was reported. However, I believe they also reported a lot more instances that were handled with what we call other means of correction. So it was kind of I think maybe it's a data integrity piece there as much as anything else. We also do know our middle schoolers tend to get into a few more things because they're spreading their wings and trying to figure out what's going on in the world. So, but also we had 0 law enforcement referrals or arrests directly related to discipline incidents. I will say that doesn't include anything that might have ended up being confidential because of student status. On the next slide, we have the distribution of responses to incidents. So so the dark purple is is suspension, and the light purple is the other means of correction. So you see, while there were a lot of instances at Fort Bragg Middle School, there were also a lot of other means of correction, which means sometimes they're assigned the, what they call it, the social...
Restorative practices.
What is it? Restorative?
Restorative circles.
No, I'm sorry, where they have to come into the office a minute before the bell, before class ends, and they have to stay until a minute after the bell so they don't get that social interaction in between classes. So it's, rather than doing an in-house suspension, it's just taking away the passing period time, and then they're not losing instructional time. it's been pretty effective.
Check in, check out for big kids.
Essentially, and middle schoolers really respond to the idea when they don't get that 3 or 4 minutes between. So it's very effective, and we even shared the practice with some other middle schools who are like, oh, developmentally, that kind of makes sense. That makes sense. So we did have our 2 incidences involving expulsion of some sort last year, one towards the beginning of the year and one towards the end.
Can you go back to slide quick, Renee? We had 3 incidents involving restraint or seclusion.
Yes, and so what that means is if we have, and many of these are involving our students with disabilities, who if we have to use our proactive strategies and physically put our hands on a student, restraint sometimes is as much as just redirecting them, that kind of thing. So there were, and it was all restraint. There were no seclusions, which is where you force you're keeping someone into a room when they don't want to be there by themselves. Not something we typically do. So these were all around. That's just the category of this restraint or seclusion. On our next slide is just a breakdown by the different incidences. So a large portion of these are fights. 33 out of the total instances. So this is charted as only 103, and then off to the sides are some of the more serious ones that are less frequent, so they didn't make kind of the top list there. So you just see a lot of what we are dealing with day to day is causing physical injury or using force or violence. So those 2, it just depends on the details of that particular fight, but those are generally both around fighting. And then tobacco possession or use comes up, falling behind in the 3rd place there. We did have 4 controlled substances or alcohol offenses, 3 weapons related. None of those were firearms. 1 was an imitation firearm, and 2 were other weapons that were knives. That were there. And then we had some hazing instances and a sexual assault offense, and the sexual assault was something someone on behind, I believe, or something. So, the idea of the nature there. Any questions on the discipline stuff? We'll make sure you have this so you can look at it in a little more detail. That's whole district.
Yeah.
For the whole year. For the whole year. So when you think that we've got 1,600 students who are coming in 180 days, it's not a terrible track record there. There are districts with a lot more going on. And we did reduce our overall suspension rate by 1.5 points or something like that, year over year. So things moving in the right direction, and all this data has been shared also with our site admin, and so they're aware and they're keeping an eye on it, using EduClimber and some other pieces to kind of cross some of those pieces over. So. Continuing into budget, so I just wanted to say we got our letter, that's the certification of our fiscal year 24-25 audit report. So if you remember, you approved the audit report, and I don't think it happened until, what about March, I think, last year. And so we finally got the state back, the letter back from the state saying it was approved, with acknowledging the findings that were in there that were just around the form CEA, I think was the name of it. It's the classroom salaries difference. It wasn't quite the percentage that the state laid out at 60%. So I think we're at 50 or something for 24-25.
So they consider that a significant finding. So, but you already told us about this.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no
surprise.
No surprise.
They make
You've
it
already
sound
seen
very
the report.
heavy.
Yeah.
30 days to respond.
Yeah, and that's only if we want to appeal.
Yes.
If there's nothing to appeal.
Correct. So
It's we've already corrected. So and it's funny to me because I'm like, okay, so now we're heading into 26, 27, and we're talking about the report 24. It's like 2 years of
while they're on it.
latency around things. Let's see. So we did, we will look a little bit later at our budget update for the, after the Budget Act was passed. So we'll talk about that a little bit when we get to information discussion. That's why it's a little bit light on this end. And then we also have our first budget committee meeting is September 28th, which I know is after our next meeting, but I just wanted to put it out there on the horizon. And we will, at that point, we will have our unaudited actuals, so that'll be our next look into where we are, and we can look at those pieces. In the area of teaching and learning, we had a lot happening this summer. So we had summer training. You heard a little bit from our student reports as well. So we had AVID training, staff from FBHS, FBMS, and Dana Gray attended AVID training. So we had about 15 staff total attend training this summer. We had restorative practices training that happened a couple weeks ago now. So we had level 1 on Monday and Tuesday, and then we had train the trainers. So we had a total of about 13 staff who participated. I think we have 8 trainers now for restorative practices in districts, so we're building that capacity. Pretty excited about that. I'm going to meet with them in a couple of weeks after we get past the start of school to lay out some plans for how they can support in restorative practices with their peers. So really excited about continuing that good work. We also had PROACT that was led by 2 of our own staff. So that was super exciting to have. I think we had 12 or so participants in that, and we'll offer both elements of PROACT to all staff, to all staff. I think both elementaries are getting a little bit of that, but then we'll also have some follow-up PROACTs that'll happen once we get things scheduled this fall. So we'll continue with that training. It's really great, some of the conversations they were having, just the understanding that folks have about the behavior cycle and how it's not personal. Kind of taking some of that out. That is just, behavior is always trying to communicate something. And so what's it trying to communicate is more the question that we're trying to answer rather than taking it personally. Because we can feel that way sometimes when you're getting hit or some not nice things said to you, those kind of things. So definitely powerful training there. We also had last Thursday, we had our retreat. We did some goal setting and reviewed data reporting and a lot of the work that we had done 2 weeks ago at our board meeting as well. So site administrators feel pretty set up for the year. I think they feel much more comfortable about what data they can report on and feel good about that. So we'll have some, I talked with Nicole today, so we'll have more reporting out from both our session and from the session. She wanted to kind of put all that together so you have a report, and also our site admin have a report and what we've all agreed on and where we're going with things. So I think we'll be in good shape this year. And I also did figure out that feature on EduClimber, so I can show you any data you want. I can do it completely anonymized. So, if we get into a presentation, I can bring it up live and we can have a conversation if we would like to. So,
Do you have any other workshops or any planned with her or admin near future?
Not yet. We do have her scope of work is on our contracts tonight. So we will plan our next session. I was talking to her today, and so she said, "Why don't I let you get school open, and then I'll follow up with her either the end of next week or the start of that following week. We'll get some dates on board and throw those out for you guys just to make sure what fits for you, and get a couple more workshops with her this year to just keep the momentum going with that deep dive into data that we've been doing. We also had for our pre-service days that are started today, but I think a lot of this really starts tomorrow, is we have our pilot math material. So we're using Eureka Math as our pilot that we're doing K-8. So we have some training for Dana Gray and Redwood that'll happen, I think, tomorrow afternoon. We have some AVID training that's happening for staff, and we also have some adult SEL pieces. So there's you know, got to take care of our people so they can take care of business. And so we're trying to focus in on, I think at Redwood, they're having, with Izzy, who does the martial arts, mindfulness in martial arts, he's going to come in and do some mindfulness with the staff so they know what to expect when he comes into the classroom to push in and do some mindfulness with students. So there's effective practices going on there. So if we go to the next slide, that's actually our independent study report. This focuses on the high school. I didn't go into the short-term ISP at all of the sites because those are just small contracts here and there. This is really just from the high school because that's where we have a funded position specifically around independent study. So we have maintained fairly well throughout the year with the number of students. We pretty much stayed full in the program all the way through. So I think independent study is a good option. You see, it's not a ton of students that were, you know, between 11 and 16 kiddos at any given time. And generally 16 or 15 was the max because we had it only as a 0.6 position. This year we're actually increasing it to 0.8 just a little bit, so we have a little bit more flexibility because we had some students that kind of got stuck and didn't have an option when they had some needs that came up. And, we want to be supportive there. If for some reason that position is not fully utilized, it's also the teacher also does remediation support with students there as well. So they're never not with students. It's just what that looks like as this might have influence. Next, looking at human resources, we've got a special education teacher position at Redwood. However, this was for more on the preventative side, so this is not about services to students. They all have appropriate staffing to provide the mandated support that's needed. Our speech and language pathologist, you know, is been ongoing as well. So, on the classified side, we have some special education instructional assistants. That's Redwood and the high school, and then also a bilingual instructional assistant at the high school. So, you know, anyone who might be interested in those positions, have them reach out to our HR, and we will walk them through the process and see if they are a good fit for the role. Attached in the agenda, you saw my work calendar. I always try to present that to you every year, give you a good idea. If there are major changes to it, I'll send you a new updated one. As you can see, I've been at work for a while for the whole year. So, you know, I'm here and happy to answer any questions as they come up about that, but it's
Something, you know, tell me if I'm wrong, other board members, but when we were reviewing your stuff, it looked like in the contract it talks about getting approval for, or you're supposed to present something about professional development.
Yeah, that's true.
okay.
So when we were looking at.
So I would just say, just look at it and just want to make sure we fulfill.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm
I'll
just
look over
curious
that.
the topics this year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is actually in there. We were just kind of going through because we were trying to get more of a check-in of calendaring.
I don't think it's approval per se. I think
No,
it's
it's
just like this. It's more of a.
Gotcha, like an
informational,
overview.
I
Like
think,
what
yeah.
are your, what are you focusing on and.
Gotcha. Okay.
It might have been more like a budget, which is
I
interesting.
think, yeah.
Yeah,
Or is it-
yeah,
it's
yeah.
more, maybe more about that. So, but it would be kind of cool just so that the public would know like what the focus is.
Yeah, I'll bring that back
Because
for
that's part of
September,
your work
so.
schedule.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that on my work schedule. Always.
It all blends, you know. We all work a lot, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, we also held our new teacher orientation, actually it was just yesterday. So it's been very long right now, this time of year. We had 8 teachers here with us, and we're able to go through, they can meet DO staff and kind of see what faces they might need for different needs that they have, and then also walk them through some of the different options that we have for, you know, all our documents, and let them ask any questions they might have about building into systems and all that kind of thing. So I think everybody was positive about it, said it was great, you know, It's 2.5 hours of very intense information, but they all felt it was a good start for them moving into today when they had more time with their colleagues and in the classrooms. Also added a couple of pictures. So this is, if you remember the bicycle mural we were talking about at Dan Gray. So this is where it is appropriately by the bicycle rack out, and this is on the north side as well. And then we have the mural at Redwood. So this is the one that Flockworks and some of our students were working on as well. So it no longer looks like the back of the bathroom. So that's a really, really lovely. I also really love, if you can see right below the water fountain, it's from SpongeBob. It's got the pineapple, and then the other two houses that are here. So anyway.
Patrick and Squidward.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I figured the kiddos would really like picking that out, and that water fountain is used all the time during recess, so that'll be good. And then the next phase will kind of wrap around the building on the other sides, so it kind of continues. Yeah, yeah, looking good. So, and then on the next slide, I had this is the playground at Redwood. They're not completely done, but it'll give you an idea. So they did some of the 4 squares, just some different sensory paths that kiddos can do hops or they can do jumps or those types of things. On the right-hand side, you can see the big circle. So it's set up if teachers want to go out and do some PE activities that require them to circle up. They got numbers, they can just get right to it. And then you can just barely see, I didn't get a great picture of it, but the white outline there, that's the United States. So they're gonna, I think, start adding in some colors to the states and that kind of thing. So that's a big thing. So playground's looking good. Really, the whole field at Redwood is great. So very happy with it. And that concludes my report.
All right, moving on then to our approval of agenda consent items. I'll just read them. Yeah, we're approving warrants for June and July of 26. The minutes from our June regular board meeting, our board workshop activity, and our special board meeting in June. Personnel reports, whole slew of contracts. Williams quarterly report for fourth quarter 25-26, and a disposal of obsolete and payment.
I move to approve the consent calendar with just one revision on June 18 minutes. President Babcock was absent, which was noted, but she called the meeting to order at 5:44, so we can delete.
Exactly.
I'll second, but just, can I ask a question before we do? So there's a lot of contracts. I know it's all in consent. Is there anything in here that you feel like we need to highlight? That's all, these are all things we've had before, nothing new.
I think everything is just our normal, just looking over everything that's there, because these have come in over the last 2 months. They're all pretty normal things that I did, as I called out, maybe have the scope of work with Nicole Anderson and Associates. That one's not unusual, but that's probably the one of the unusual, like not just routine business pieces that are in there. This is all pretty normal stuff. Just agreements so we can make sure to support all our cultural interns.
It's a lot of them, that's all.
Yeah, it is. It's
A couple months, like you said.
and it's the start of business year, so it's kind of the big one.
Contracts.
So, it's funny, Renee asked me the same questions. We were doing agenda prep, and I was like, let's put all the contracts in, and it's a lot.
Okay, all those in favor? All right, moving on to our board action items, starting with our consolidated application 27 certification application of assurances. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with the start of school.
The interns from the city are going to provide all of these surveys.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll do them.
So as we move into a new year, the consolidated application reporting system, CARS, is, we just have a combined application that goes in every year. It's pretty routine. This is what funds our Title I, Title II, 3, and 4. And so they're just additional federal funds that come our way for based off the student populations that we serve. So they help fund a variety of things, but a lot of intervention and bilingual aids, that type of thing comes out of this.
Very not very exciting. But I don't, do we have any public comment on this agenda?
No, we do not have any public comment.
I have a motion to approve the consolidated application for 26-27 certification of assurances.
Second.
Any final discussion? All right, Renee, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Trustee Schneider,
Yes.
trustee Statham.
Aye.
Trustee Paley.
Yes.
And trustee Oxley.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Agenda 2, resolution 2618, amended bylaws for Northern California school insurance group.
So NCSIG, Northern California School Insurance Group, as you know, we love our acronyms, and they just had some updated bylaws that changed in May. We're still a member with them. We'll still continue getting this is the group that provides our property and liability insurance. So we want to continue to maintain that. So to do that, we have to approve their bylaw change that has almost no effect on us, other than the biggest change that they made when I attended the meeting was around that they often have trouble getting a quorum of districts there because there's such a huge geographic representation. So if we could, because the districts vote on the committees, if the committee could be the voting body, so it's sort of like the board of the whole group, and we're like, yes, that sounds like a wonderful idea. Because I think they have 65 districts or something like that. So, and they represent all the way up to some districts as far as the Oregon border. So it's a pretty intense group to have to gather together, and they meet in Santa Rosa. So. And they met at the end of May, which you can imagine makes it a little hard for some of us to get in. Yes.
All right, Renee, do we have any public comment on this?
No, we do not.
And to approve resolution 2618, amend bylaws of Northern California Schools Insurance Group.
Motion and second, any discussion? No, roll call, please, then.
Trustee Statham.
Aye.
Trustee Oxley.
Yes.
Trustee Schneider.
Yes.
And trustee Paley.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
All right, moving on then to 10.3, denigrate and take honor proposal.
So we talked about this, I believe, in June.
Yeah, that's definitely in the summer.
Yeah. And so you kind of see a mock-up of what would be there, just talking a little bit about who Dan Gray was. And, so we understand the namesake of the school because yeah. And I know many of our students don't. The funding for this would be provided by the family, so it's not at any expense to us, except maybe if there are a few schools that now staff time to do that.
Any public comment on this one?
No public comment.
To approve the denigrate namesake honor proposal.
Any discussion? Then a roll call, please.
Trustee Paley.
Yes.
Trustee Oxley.
Yes.
Trustee Statham.
Aye.
And trustee Schneider.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
All right, 10.4, job description for student information specialist 1-2.
So with the vacancy of a student information specialist, so if you have a vacancy, it's always a good time to look at job descriptions and do some updates. So we decided to, the biggest change I would say in this, if approved, is that we created a level 1 and a level 2, such a specialized role that we want to do a little bit to honor longevity in that role and moving them over to 2. So if they move to that level 2, then they actually move up a range on our salary schedule. But there's a lot of duties that are associated as you look through this. So it's a very important role that really keeps things moving forward. As this week, Renee and I have been tag teaming a lot of these things that come up, and it's pretty intense. So so we are currently recruiting and hope to interview some next week to fill the role. And
Very technical.
it's very technical.
These are really just the essential for both.
Yes, and it's not a lot of time in any huge, it's mostly in the student information system, but there's a lot of other little pieces that play into that as well. So,
We have to be the troubleshooter because that seemed like that was the hot, Sarah would push out, something's paused, work with the company, we're gonna fix this, you can't do this for right now.
it's been pretty frustrating too, because some of their servers have not been behaving well, so we've had a lot of downtime waiting for something to kind of flow through, and we're like, it's coming, we promise, and then an hour later it shows up. So.
All right, do we have any public comment on the job?
No, we do not.
Move to approve the student information specialist 1 and 2. Yes, second?
Any further discussion on it? All right, roll call.
Trustee Schneider,
Yes.
trustee Oxty.
Yes.
Trustee Statham.
Aye.
And trustee Paoli.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
All right, 10.5, board policy admin regs. 2026.
We already had a first read on these, first time through. Are there any questions or concerns about any of these? All pretty standard updates. Just getting us compliant with the July 1st.
Yes.
And there is a limit on board member authority, board file 9200, which is in our handbook as well. So I was having
It aligns quite
It
nicely.
aligns with it.
Any public comment on the board admin regs?
No, there's not.
I'll make a motion to approve the board policy administrative resolution updates for May 2026.
Yes, second?
Any discussion on these? All right, hearing none, we'll go for a roll call, please.
All right. Trustee Paoli,
Yes.
trustee Statham.
Aye.
Trustee Oxty.
Yes.
And trustee Schneider.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
10.6, board policies, 141, international, I'm not even sure.
Baccalaureate.
Baccalaureate, all right. Baccalaureate program.
So the recommendation in this situation is to actually remove this. You know how sometimes when you're walking through policy and you're looking at different things, you look at some things that you're like, why is that? That's been hanging out for a while. Why is that there? That kind of thing. And so this has been on the books since 2015. It was probably one that was
Roll in.
a packet update that probably just should have not been applicable to us. So I just recommend that we remove the policy manual at this point because we do not offer an international baccalaureate program. We, in our district, we tend to lean more towards added because that's appropriate for our students. They have some similar outcomes that paired with our dual enrollment programs really prepare our students pretty well. So,
Any public comment on that?
No, there's no public comment.
All right, have a motion on the policy.
Move to approve the meeting for policy 614
More discussion on that? Pretty straightforward. Renee, a roll call please.
Let's see, trustee Schneider,
Yes.
trustee Oxty,
Yes.
trustee Paley,
Yes.
and trustee Statham.
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, 2.7, resolution 2018, certification that satisfactory alternative facilities are not available for the location of the shelter.
So if you look technically in the education code, it says that our community-based schools should not be located on the site of any other school. Basically, it's supposed to be a spot off. It's kind of an old ed code section. I'm surprised they really haven't updated it at this point because it's very exclusionary and so students,
Doesn't sound like they're.
like they shouldn't be mixing with any other students and that kind of thing. That's not the case. That's not the philosophy that we've had in our district. And so, and speaking with the consultant at the state, he said, just to make sure that we pass these will be an annual resolution that comes through for the CDS co-location. And what it does is it acknowledges that there aren't better facilities available, that we are providing, and we think it's in the best interest of our students, and particularly that we've constructed a new campus, and we'll be opening that this year, that they get to co-locate on a new campus, that we're not going to leave them in the portables across the street that are not adequate to support them.
So is this something that came up in an audit or something, that they just realized, oh gosh, I didn't realize that when they did the inspection, well, not the inspection, but we were kind of reviewed over there?
No, it didn't. It wasn't with that. It was with when we changed the address in anticipation of the new building. That they said, "Oh, you're changing the address. Tell us more about that. Let's talk through and make sure that we got the right pieces." And they said, "No, go ahead and do this. It's not a problem.
Yeah, just making it clear.
Just
Yeah.
procedural, just to make sure that we have acknowledged it, and if there were to be some unanticipated consequence that came if we hadn't done it, that we're at least covered, that we have acknowledged that this is the best place for the students to get the education they deserve."
Any public comment, please?
There's no public comment.
I move to approve resolution 2619, certification that satisfactory alternative facilities are not available for shelter code community.
Any further discussion? All right, we're gonna roll call please.
Trustee Paley,
Yes.
trustee Oxty,
Yes.
trustee Statham,
Aye.
and trustee Schneider. Motion carries.
All right, resolution 2620, same thing, lighthouse. Any public comment on this one?
There is no public comment.
All right.
I'll recommend to adopt resolution 26-20, certification that satisfactory alternative facilities are not available for location of lighthouse community school.
A second?
All right, any discussion on who would differ from the first one? Hearing none, can I get a roll call?
Trustee Schneider,
Yes.
trustee Oxty,
Yes.
trustee Statham,
Aye.
and trustee Paley.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
On to information discussion, 11.1, 26.07, budget review. Okay.
So unfortunately, our list could not be here due to an unanticipated family emergency that came up. But I will do my best. 45-day budget revision is not a full budget or anything. It's just showing the additional revenue or change in revenue, I should say. This is not always additional. Fortunately, in this situation, it is. That is coming to the district above the adopted budget that you received. Keeping in mind that in that adopted budget, we were still running in a deficit. So even with all the green on here, that's the new funds, is we still are operating at a deficit due to a lot of the one-time funds that we've received and still feathering some of those out. The things of note here, if you notice the LCFF base grant increased by $254,000. That's the COLA for that. Again, some of this funding is set aside for specific purposes. including that is where they chose to place the funding to support the 14 weeks of pregnancy disability leave, went in as part of the COLA that hits there, and then the LCFF supplemental compensation funding. And so when they talked about a super COLA that they were giving, and it was larger than it should be, that's where some of that money landed as well. We did anticipate in the budget that there would be some COLA, so that's not. This is just showing what's above that. I think we anticipated it at a 2.3 something %, and it ended up coming in at a 4.4%, I believe. So this is the difference between what was already budgeted there. And LCFF supplemental and concentration, again, you see $82,000 increase. Part of the issue here is our numbers aren't changing that much as far, our percentages aren't changing that much, but our numbers of students continue to decrease. As I keep telling everybody, over the next few years, we anticipate we'll lose as many as 130 students enrolled, with the high numbers of students that are in our junior and senior class at the high school versus the number of students coming in at the other end. So, the numbers will look pretty flat relative to things. LCFF transportation, we didn't get any additional funding there. We did get a small TK add-on that'll allow us to have some additional materials and supplies for them. $4,000, or almost $5,000 there. Special education, we received $394,000 additionally. So this is really nice in that it helps offset the contribution that we have from the general fund to special education. So it decreases the amount that needs to be contributed from our general fund over. This is ongoing funds, so we're excited that the state is taking up the mantle to pick up their piece. To give you an idea, in special education funding, it was always meant to be that the local contribution would max out at about 40%, and the federal and state combined would be about 60%. And it's not near that. We're 65 to 70% in most districts in California are local funding that fund it, and the rest comes from state and federal funding. So any progress we can make there and continuing to support that very important program is much appreciated. So we appreciate that. Next to that, you'll see the student support and professional development block grant. This amount is one-time funding, so we're being pretty cautious given the deficit that we're sitting in right now with that money, because again, it's one time. I don't anticipate that we're going to get another big one-time funding anytime soon in the next few years. So we'll think about the most appropriate way to use that to help offset possibility of layoffs and things like that are coming as a result of our declining enrollment. And then finally, the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. You see that they allocated an additional $200,000 in that block grant. That was, if you remember, I'm trying to think how many years ago it was now that they gave us the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, and then the next year they clawed back some of it, and then this is finally reinstating what they originally told us it would. Wow. So it's this weird back and forth. Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, any funding spent there has to be outlined in our LCAP. So Arlissa and I will go through and kind of do an analysis to see if we need to bring anything forward to, if we're going to shift any funding around within the LCAP to make sure that it's approved and a valid expense there. So all in all, it was positive in support of our special education of education in general in the state. However, the state still withheld $3.9 billion that they owe our education side to use on the non-education side of the house, keep other priorities moving forward. And while some of those priorities are important, we wouldn't have spent so much on some of those priorities if we adequately funded our education.
No one's suing the state for that, are they?
I don't know. I know there were talks of some lawsuits
Pushing.
from CSDA, and I know CTA was concerned, and then the professional organization I belong to, AXA. They were talking about it, but I haven't seen if any filings that
They can do it, but.
They're doing it, but they.
But it's
yeah,
technically against what the voters have
Constitution,
voted on.
California Constitution.
Under Prop 98,
Yeah, that's a no-no.
that's a no-no. So
And they've
it's,
done it twice.
oh, this is the third.
Well, third, but you know what I'm saying, like, they did it twice, and then this is the third.
Yeah, so, and the amount just keeps growing. And
Yeah,
so it's
people
pretty
have them.
frustrating.
Hands in the cookie jar.
Because if we were guaranteed ongoing funding, that changes what we do in our budget priorities and all of those pieces. So it's, I'm a little frustrated at the state of not committing to just doing what's right. But, they act as if giving us too much money when Prop 98 was always meant to be the floor, not the ceiling. They treat it absolutely as the ceiling,
Yeah.
and now they're even putting us in the basement, so to speak. So any questions about our 45-day budget revision?
I'm sure when the numbers don't come in for the state, they'll just keep our numbers high too.
Yeah.
Good news, I mean, a little bit more than we anticipated.
For sure.
There's still deficit spending this year and through the third.
Yes, and deficit spending beyond what was new money. So definitely something that we'll keep an eye on.
This is all the income side of it.
Yes, this is just the income. It's not even showing our expenditures yet. So we will have some updates at our September meeting because we will have our unaudited actuals for closeout of last year. So we'll see what the actual fallout was from the budget of things that, so I have no idea what that looks like yet because we haven't gotten all the numbers and just finishing closing out all our invoices and all those kind of things so that we can actually look at that.
That sounds like information. Any other discussion on that? No public comment on that? I don't think so.
I don't believe we have any public comment.
There is none.
Okay.
No.
All right, well, then I'll just move on to 11.2, board self-evaluation.
Can't be still working on this, right?
Yes. So she wanted to get some feedback, particularly around the tool. So there's a new tool there that Nicole Anderson had shared. I believe maybe you've gotten one look through that. Yeah. So just kind of seeing, I like the alignment there. And we can obviously make any changes to that, but I also like the idea of having some evidence and indicators there that we can map to it. That feels kind of nice to be able to show, here's the work product, here's the meeting agenda, or here's the, here's the presentations, those kind of things. So,
And what is the LCUSD one?
that was the Lake Tahoe one.
Yeah, and it's good. I think it includes similar items as Nicole's and our old one. One thing I do kind of like is they did have one. They have a whole section of loyalty to the employer too. But I guess all of them are kind of in a
Loyalty test. Wow.
yeah, the loyalty. But then it had a colon. Participates in discussion of issue and listens patiently and respectfully. I mean, we don't really have anything like that. I mean, a little bit, but in the sense of like participating as a board, and what does that look like amongst everyone? I mean, that would be a nice question to add. But I agree with Joe that this one is probably one that feels so you don't get too floaty about how you're responding, because it's looking at, okay, how, like if we are weak in this area, how can we improve it? And it kind of gives you our roles of what we can adjust or pivot in the green area. And then you can write your indicators of evidence of why you
And she,
rated it that way.
this is the same one that she has for all of, like, this is just her generic one.
Generally, yes.
I would be curious to see if she would be willing, well, we, I guess we approved the contract, so she's still working with us. To see if she would make any changes for Brad specific.
Knowing well our
Yeah,
community.
and kind of where we are, and then we can look at it from there.
So it looked, I mean, it seems pretty,
It does, but she may have some thoughts like, hey, well, Fort Bragg, maybe this question will be good for them, or maybe this isn't
Yeah.
relevant, or.
Overall, I like this better than the one we used last year.
Yes.
I really don't like how Lake was laid out. Yeah. The oval 125.
not only one oval.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's also the printout from Google Forms.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
So
You got it.
it would typically be a Google form, but that's how Google Forms sort of, when you
Right.
go to the print section, so it's not very user friendly.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, just the way this reads with the 5 across, it's just much easier to visually do it, so I like that.
So do you, is that okay to ask Cole, just to have her look at it through our lens?
Yep.
And then we'll look at it, of course, through our lens when she.
Absolutely. I'll ask her if there's anything that she thinks would be unique to our, or some, to the priorities that we've been discussing and the data work that we're doing. For sure.
All right. Anything else? Okay, let's move on to 11.3, board governance handbook.
And this was at agenda setting. This was brought before us because it's going to be kind of a light meeting, and we knew we wanted to make one adjustment. We have historically done this self-evaluation in January at the workshop, and have found that we haven't ever changed that, but we always end up having potentially a new member, and they can't really participate with Lindsay because it just, hopped onto the board.
Yeah.
So we wanted to change the language and having it, what is that, self-evaluation section. So on bold spot on page 3, it says normally in January, so maybe we could do it, you could put, annually, I don't know what you want to put in there in the sense of just saying, on our governance calendar, it says July and August.
So that makes more sense that you're at the beginning of the current year, that you're looking back over the previous
Yeah,
year,
exactly.
and not in December when brand new board members are going, wow.
Right. We've all witnessed quite a few new board members.
Yeah.
Always asking, saying,
Don't really know, but from the community's lens, yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I did a whole lot of not applicable, we don't know kind of answers my first review for sure.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, with a sample size of only 5 folks.
So this one still says January.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, she just uploaded the last.
So in the Staywell, the medical, that's, because
Yeah.
we're not with Staywell, that's great.
Right.
So it's not a requirement anymore.
For everyone.
For everyone.
Right.
It's an option.
Yeah, so this one, I guess we never signed one last year?
I thought we did.
I thought we did, too, but this is just showing the change we made last year. Which is still relevant, so I reviewed that. And then, I don't think it's in here, but just looking at that one board policy and participation, I don't think we have anything, because I'm looking at bylaws for the city as well, that, like the planning commissioner, if they missed 3 in a row, and they haven't if there's a good reason, or you've asked for 3 in a row, that if that's pause for are you committed to this role? We don't really have anything in there, and that might be something that could be included. So I don't know if anyone found it in here. I don't know if I searched it. It's a big commitment, and we want to make sure that. Or maybe one else feels that's important to include.
Well, that seems like one of those It's always good to have written protocol in place. in case
Before you
something
need it.
happens,
Exactly.
Rather than waiting for and being like, oh, why don't we have a protocol?
How do we do
How do we
this?
handle this? This guy hasn't shown up for the last.
Yeah, without,
6 months.
yeah, and, checking in.
And from the handbook perspective, of course, would just be kind of our general guidance versus, what does it say in the actual ed code and law, like,
It's a pretty common bylaw to have in bylaws. It's not a hard and fast around that
Exactly. It's
particularly.
just
It's
kind
just
of
what the board's preference is. So we can certainly bring some examples of what that looks like in other policy manuals. Because like I say, it's not that uncommon to have some of those.
It just means that you're communicating, like, I've had a family, whatever, I'm gonna be missing the next 2 or 3, and of course the board will be like, yeah, that's fine, or if someone's just,
And keeping the public informed of what their elected officials are.
Right.
What's going on with them as well. So,
any other,
No, just make sure it has all of our equity, we have most updated language and any policies or equity statements or actually with those.
Nothing on that, really. Other than on the front page.
On page 5, our
Equity statement, yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. And the front cover.
That was one reason it took so long to get signed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mhm.
Alright, moving it on to our 27-28 academic calendar first read.
Okay. So this is our first draft. If we started in the same, basically taking the same timeline that we had this year. And I think it probably feels a little less intrusive into June next year because things shift a little bit more. This year feels like it's pretty late because we had Memorial Day is pretty late. It's on the 31st. For 26 or 25, 26, 27. So for 27, 28, that starts to get a little closer to where we have traditionally done with our calendar. So.
The break in February, we can't move that because of the contracts, right?
Correct. And
That's so annoying.
education code when it comes to which the President's Day, like you have to have certain days off or during that week. Yeah. There's 3 different things that sort of dictate that.
Okay, so families that got that Monday off, they can't travel because the school's closed. I guess I need to be prepared.
Which one? I'm sorry.
I'm just thinking February, the Monday that school's open is the holiday, but we're closed the week before. Am I reading that right?
Yes, on the 21st of the holiday, after we go off that week.
Yeah.
It's an extended
Yes.
vacation.
Instead of, a lot of people, anyway, okay.
And we'll take a look at that because I think the ed code says we can take the Monday or the Friday
Or the Friday.
prior or,
Sometimes, not on all of them.
Well, on this particular one, it gives us more flexibility, so we'll take a look at that one. Because I agree with you, I don't want to do, that's a weird extra day hanging out there. So. That's why we're bringing it as a draft. So thanks for the feedback on that one. And then continuing to have an emergency closure date in that mid-March, that seems to be a good timeline for folks because March can be very long.
And since this is still a draft, you have with the 18th is the first day of school, but we have March the 19th, just an update.
Oh, gotcha. Yep, that was just copied.
Yeah. And then question on, 4th of July holiday being on a Sunday, normally you would observe on the Monday being the closer of the days. I don't know that it matters as much for
Our contracts tell us where it would land, so we'll double check that and see. Most of our CCA contract is
right.
teachers are not in session at that point, so.
The only thing it impacts
We'll
is
double
summer
check to see what the language is around that. That will probably be what dictates for,
and summer school.
well, it would dictate.
That's what gets impacted.
And of course, like this year, I didn't realize, and I think we kind of talked about it because there was a holiday in October, we have a board meeting on your fall break, but I guess you knew that.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, because that's kind of how it worked out. I feel like we kind of briefly talked about it.
It is set at this point unless if the board wanted to change that, I will be around, so there's not.
Yeah.
any-
I don't have a fall break, so.
But I was like, I don't know.
Okay, usually at that point, I'm like, okay, I might take a little time on the Friday, but
Yeah.
there's a lot still going on.
You're still pretty busy, and you have Monday off, Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Yeah.
I think,
No,
right? Or no, you
No,
guys
we
don't?
don't.
No, we don't get that day.
Oh, good then. I get that day off.
Good.
Let's kind of mash up the governance calendar. It's not setting up the detail.
So the holiday for the New Year's extends the winter break also, right? So we're coming back on that Tuesday.
Just the weird.
The way it works.
Yeah. Usually everything lands, but you get that full week before Christmas holiday. So it's,
Yeah, that's nice.
Having the holidays on the weekends lines up nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just check your dates on the left versus what's in the calendar. Like your
Yes,
winter
if you-
holiday
yeah.
district wide dates
Mhm.
are, yeah.
we'll go through that. Sorry, this was
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah, because,
doing a few things last minute.
yes,
Uh,
and we almost missed it.
On the governance
Agenda
calendar.
setting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's do this.
So that's good, because we don't have to have this approved until October.
It's a ways off, yes.
Yeah, so
But-
Awesome.
There'll be a
We'll have-
second read.
we'll bring the second read around with all that cleaned up and hopefully,
Mhm.
And then for June, you have highlighted in green our last day of instruction. So you have 7th, 8th, and 9th all highlighted.
Awesome.
I think it's because those end up being early release days and graduation.
Correct.
So,
One is middle school, one is alt ed campuses, one is middle school, and one is high school.
we'll figure out a different color for that.
Yeah.
Something else jumped out. All right. Move on to 12.1 board reports. Anything to report?
I report that I finished my Keenan. That was just a hoot of a time.
The Keenans are always a hoot.
Oh, yeah.
They said they're excited to bring you a new training.
I know,
was like,
exactly. I had actually like,
I'm not sure
wow.
that's the word, but okay.
I did
They're
actually ask.
excited.
the-
They're excited.
The
Yes.
AEC, I said, you guys really need to give us some better videos, updated, maybe something a little bit. And they're making it harder for you to just roll through it. So there's a lot of pauses and I'm trying to cook dinner while I'm listening and geez.
Push the button.
Wow, they're making it really hard.
Making sure you pay attention.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to, because of course I'm a podcast junkie, and I'm always thinking of kids and like resiliency, and I think oftentimes, the delivery's good, but giving kids skills like emotional intelligence and that they aren't destined for these things that we read about, that they actually have the power to pivot and make right choices. But this was alarming. There was an expert from Yale that was doing a survey, and I think they probably were college, but it's possible they were high school. They definitely weren't, grammar school kids. And he had surveyed them, And 77% of students said that they felt bored, tired, stressed. So he kind of dived into it, and basically when they journaled and he was able to like study them for a while, it really was envy. And it all stemmed from social media. So he the feelings of, comparison, anger, shame, disappointment. And this podcast really talked about like the differences between anxiety, anger. So it was totally envy, stress, pressure, fear, overwhelm, and just with the mental health, but it's really, that gratitude, self-talk, mindset is more powerful, but that they are actually misdiagnosing what they're feeling. And so it's so important, and it's so good that schools are, I don't know that you necessarily have to lock these things up, but the social media is bad and the phones are bad. And so that was really telling that, the kids are misdiagnosing themselves of what they're, and that it ends up being a totally different.
Right. Related to that, I read in Australia they did like a complete social media ban for all teenagers, and it's been several months since that's happened, and pretty much all the teenagers are still on social media. It's one of those that the ban has done almost nothing to keep teenagers off of social media.
They know how to get around all that.
Yeah, well, that's the game too,
Yeah.
to overcome. And then I also want to publicly say I did not refile for the open seat on the board, so my last meeting will be November. And so I just wanted to make that a public announcement. Not everyone checks the election department.
It's not everybody's sphere.
Yeah.
Not much school stuff going on in the summer, but I'm excited for another school year. I wanted to ask about tomorrow. So lunch is it from 11 to 12? And if we come by, where do we just?
So I think we'll be serving the food in the cafeteria, and folks will come outside to actually eat. We'll have some tables and chairs and things like that set up.
And do you want us at any time or any place, or just stop by?
I would just like you to have a chance to connect with our employees, and so just come on through if you feel like making sure everybody's got what they need in the serving line. That's great, but otherwise just connecting and making sure that you get a chance to say hi to some folks.
And then the wellness fair is also tomorrow.
It is, yes. The wellness fair starts at 3:00.
And I understand we can do lunch for those.
Okay. So they'll be there doing the quick screen on the TV test.
National travel. They just can do a paper,
Paper screen.
must have been South Africa.
Definitely not.
So
Okay. And I did file for another term, so I think I'm in. Unless something crazy happens, I'm excited. Thank you to the community for confidence in that. That's all.
nothing else is reported?
Well, I'll publicly take a little bit of credit for one of the new teachers that we hired was, I referred her to apply, and I was very, Miss Sen, Redwood is the teacher. Her and my daughter were friends when they were little kids, and now she's come back to, she was here at the beginning of summer for my daughter's birthday, and she's like, yeah, I just got my teaching credential.
Tell me more.
I'm going to be
Tell me
leaving
more.
for grad the next year, and I'm like, oh, really? Have I got a job for you? So, awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see her and to see like this generation, and then and also trying to do my part for district enrollment. My daughter and her two kids just moved back, so they're only 3 and 1 now. So a couple years before they're hitting the school system, but we're getting line them up, and then her sister also moved back with her 4 kids. So we're like 6 new kids into the
Oh my
district that
gosh,
weren't here
that's
before.
amazing.
So we're, between the teacher and 6 kids, I've done my part. You gotta figure out the step on the floor.
I got time.
Yeah.
I'll be there tomorrow to help Renee, because it does.
I do have tasks. If
Yeah,
the
I was
board
gonna say,
members would like to
she-
do tasks,
every
I
report-
have tasks.
I can come early, I can't come later.
Yeah, no, come at, if you want to come between 10:30 and 10:45, I'll be setting up and getting things ready. And we always have early birds. I mean,
It's, because I've always helped the November one, and it's just Renee, and it's like, if they're hungry, and they need to make sure that
It's
everyone's
everybody.
flowing, and,
All at
and
once.
it's like, yeah, it's so hands on deck.
yeah, it's always, and that way you get to see them and they get
And
to
it's
see
fun.
you doing
It
something.
is fun, they really,
I
Yeah.
can start at 11:30, but I'll come.
That's okay. Come over. And we're doing it at Dana Gray this year.
Yes.
It's at Dana Gray. It's at Dana Gray.
Dana Gray.
Dana Gray.
Dana Gray.
We don't have to.
Not the high school. Not at the quad.
Not room 306.
Nope.
Room 306.
Come on over to Dana Gray.
All right. All right, advanced planning suggestions for future board meetings.
So we're gonna be at 7 days in September.
It's the 10th.
Evaluation tool might be on there, and first interim,
Do you think we'll have a report from Nicole by then?
We should, yeah, I believe she was aiming for the last week of this month, so maybe we'll have something there. And then Isaac Rainey, our new director of student services, will also come in and do introduction and stuff, so good.
And the city will be,
And so we'll-
and I don't know, maybe a tour of Alton, like, if it's convenient, because a lot's changed since June as well.
Yes.
If we're gonna be in the way, then of course not.
It won't be in the way, I'm just trying to figure logistics, so we might do it at a time, if we started at 5, it won't take us long, to kind of zip through and get to see all the good stuff over there, because they'll be nearly done at that point, and,
Great.
come over here for the meetings. We'll figure them out.
All right, told out 3 housekeeping reminders. Looks like a whole lot of stuff going on. Freshman orientation tomorrow. Just a bunch we've discussed. That's it. Dana Gray thing.
It's at Dana Gray.
And then family wellness fair at the high school north parking lot at 3 o'clock. 6th grade orientation. First year class is on the 19th. Picture days. 24th and 27th. Back to school night for Dana Gray. Picture days. Early release days, that's when they start.
Start on August.
September
26th.
September 2nd.
No, it'll actually be August
August
26th.
26th.
August
I got on the, yeah, so starting August 26th, then we'll be for the rest of the year, so we don't have that weird,
Weird start.
let's do this for 5 weeks and then
Yeah.
we're gonna change the schedule.
Good.
So,
We like that better. All right, and then the Labor Day holiday, classified stuff, orientation, read about elementary picture day, and then,
and I will say for the Labor Day holiday for the parade this year, the theme is back to school, with beige and blue. So, they're gonna have, former influential educators, be the grand marshals, and they're gonna have a school bus with any of our educators who want to be a part, be in the parade. So it's gonna be celebrating what we do, so it's pretty nice to do that. So if you have a chance to come out, want to be a part of it, let me know. Certainly we can have a board set up in there too. But it'll be a good event. Looking
It's
forward.
fun. Every weekend.
And then I also wanted to point out that if you received the paper, we were on the front page of the.
Back to school.
It's the back to school, and so we got the front page, I think, out of both counties this year.
Wow.
They put us through, so there's a nice little just outline of what's going on in the district and what things to say. I had it in English and Spanish, so we were. I think they gave us more space than we paid for, to be honest, but that's okay.
That's nice.
we'll take it.
That's it.
We don't have a date for the equity walk for Redwood yet.
Not yet, so I'm still working out a few of those details. I wanted to give Kirsten a
Yeah, I
chance to kind of get a
know.
feel for it.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
that's just my site, so.
I'll let you know as soon as we settle on a date.
Stop by
I
and
think
check in.
she's, Nicole will probably be up in, September to meet with, principals some and, to do some coaching. And so once she's up, we'll take a date.
Any other reminders or announcements? Well then, look at that, we can adjourn at 7:44. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, we are adjourned. All right. Just run all meetings that fast. Get home at a reasonable hour.
Thank you for sticking with us the whole time.
I know.
I thought our ag incentive was gonna be on the
Thank you.
agenda,
It worked.
but it wasn't, it's
July.
okay, I guess we can move it for the September one, so.
Yeah, sorry,
I think we already did it, actually.
well, it's got a slight update. We'll get that.
Yeah, okay.
I
I'll
thought
put you on
maybe
for
not.
September.
Yeah, we'll make sure to get you on.
Plus,
So sorry.
you've got all the fair, like, we'll just put you on for like an update in
Okay.
September. How about that?
Because there's a lot of great things in the future.
Yes, there's a lot of good stuff, and